society ahead of the 2026 elections. The son of American Olim who moved to Haifa in 1967, shortly after the Six-Day War, former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett has excelled as a leader in the army, the private sector, and public service. Following his military service, he moved into the tech world as a successful entrepreneur and CEO, leading several startups to high-profile international acquisitions. His political path eventually led him to serve as Minister of Education, Minister of Defense, and ultimately as Israel's 13th Prime Minister. He is currently running as a candidate for Prime Minister as the head of the Biyachad Party in the 2026 election, and we are honored to have him with us tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett.
Good evening, Shalom Yerushalayim. It's great to be with you here tonight, and I want to thank Aliza, Toda Rabba, and Jacob Dalal, and Daniel Livingston, who lead the Biyachad groups here across the country. And Toda Rabba to all of you for coming. For those of you who are Olim, raise your hands. So Toda not only for coming to the event, but for making Aliyah to Eretz Israel. How many of you made Aliyah over the past 5-10 years? Kacha? Okay. So I'm telling you, this is the best decision you've ever made. This morning we heard about the falling of the fighter Alex Filin in Lebanon. He was also an Ole. He made Aliyah from Ukraine at the age, I believe, of 15, on his own, from Tzionut, the love of Eretz Israel. He served as a lone soldier, and he received the President's Award for excellence after he stopped a terrorist attack and saved his friend's life. We see those little kotarot in the newspapers, but we have to remember him and everyone who fell. He's a Gibor Israel. Yehi zichro baruch. My mom and dad, my mom, may she live many, many years, and then my dad, zichro livracha, Myrna and Jim, also Olim. They grew up in San Francisco and studied at Berkeley in the 60s. They were left-wing, ultra-liberals with very little connection to Israel and to Yiddishkeit. They were like as Chiloni as you can get. West Coast Chiloni. Got married. My dad served in the Peace Corps, dodged Vietnam like many others. And then came May of 1967. And President Nasser of Egypt closed the Straits of Tiran. And he threatened to destroy this tiny, new, 19-year-old little Jewish state. And something happened to Abba and Ima. Something ignited in their hearts. This little and faraway country with people they never met suddenly became mamash personal. And my mom and dad got obsessed. What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? And on the first civilian flight after the war, my parents, without a word in Hebrew, knowing nothing, they just got on the plane and landed in Israel. And volunteered in Kibbutz Dafna, fell in love with Israel, did not like the kibbutz, and they moved to Haifa. Many years later, got closer to Yahadut, to religion, very gradually. The first time my Abba had an aliyah to the Torah in Haifa, so they asked him, "איך קוראים לך?" And he said, James. No, what's מה השם העברי? What's your Hebrew name? And he said, oh, Yaakov. Yaakov ben 30. We've made strides since then. And I want to tell you, by making Aliyah, they gave me the best gift of my life. The zchut to get born in Eretz Israel, to serve in Tzahal, to build Israeli startups, to build my own family in Eretz Israel, and to serve Am Yisrael as a public servant. Like, sometimes I think, you remember there was that movie with Gwyneth Paltrow, Revolving Doors? Like, what your alternative life would be. I would be somewhere in Silicon Valley. Let's not imagine, what my values would be. And back when my mom was struggling to find her place here in Israel, it was really tough. They didn't have one-time diapers back then. Just imagine. In America, they already had single-use diapers. And in Israel, you had, I don't want to say what you had to do. She, in a million years, wouldn't imagine that one day her son would have the zchut to be Prime Minister of the Jewish state. And we're all here this evening to write the next chapter of Am Yisrael in Eretz Yisrael. So let's talk about the next chapter. I love this country, I love Eretz Yisrael with all my heart, and I'm the most optimistic person you've ever met. But I am worried. And we're here in Jerusalem, in Merkaz Begin, near soon Yud Zayin B'Tammuz and Shlosh HaShavuot, 3 weeks. And I remind myself, time and again, that the state of Israel is the third time Jews have a Jewish state, an independent and united Jewish state in the land of Israel. It's not the first Medinat Israel, it's the third time. Once was Bayit Rishon, it went on for about 80 years, and we blew it. And then the second time, we had Bayit Sheni. As an independent sovereign state, it went on only about 77 years, the Maccabees, the Hashmonaim. And we blew it because of Sinat Chinam, because of internal hate. Now, this isn't mumbo jumbo, these are historic facts. We destroyed each other. And then the Romans just came in after we had basically done the job. From my perspective, this is it. We're not going to have another chance. This is our hizdamnut, this is our opportunity. And if we don't stand together, we won't exist. Menachem Begin, of the Likud, he once said, Ashkenazi, Iraqi, Yehudim, Achim, Lochamim, we are one. Begin said it, and another person said it, my Ima. When she made Aliyah, she didn't know what it means. She didn't know what Sfaradi Ashkenazi means. She said, we're all Jews. I don't get it. So I'm worried, but I'm also optimistic. Now, people will tell you, there's nothing to do. En balasot. There's nothing to do about world opinion. They're all anti-Semitic anyway. There's nothing to do about drafting Haredim. They'll never enlist. There's nothing to do about the prices that are crazy in Israel. Crazy prices in Israel. En malasot. There's nothing to do about the crime. There's nothing to do about anything. En malasot kachazeh. That's the most un-Zionist concept I've ever heard. Because Zionism, Tzionut, is all about making the impossible possible. You never give up. And our generation Zionism, 80 years into Medinat Israel, is to unite and fix Israel. And look, I'm not a rabbi or a philosopher. I'm a tachlis guy. And when I say that we can fix it, I mean it tachlis, practical. I know we can do it because we've done it before. When I was Prime Minister, Minister of Defense, Minister of Education, Minister of Economy, in many cases, I looked at a situation that was deteriorating and seemed irreversible, and we fixed it. We took a country, when I became Prime Minister, the country was in a huge deficit, and we turned that deficit into the first time surplus, budgetary surplus, in 25 years. We can do it. We lowered prices. We lowered prices as Minister of Economy. Gvinat Zeuba, yellow cheese, was crazily expensive. I opened up competition, Yevul, and we reduced prices by about 50%. After a decade of crime growing year after year, came in as Prime Minister in 2021, and my government, we decided we're going to focus on law and order. We reduced crime, murder numbers by over 20% in 1 year. After a decade of decline of 5 yechidot matematika, 5 units of math and science, everyone said kids don't want to learn math anymore. And we went into it all in with all the energy, power, thoughtfulness, and innovation. And just to give you the numbers, we were at 13,000. It went down to 12, 11,000, 10,000, 9,000, 8,500. I came in as Sarah Chinuch. After 4 years, we suddenly, not suddenly, it was a lot of work. We reached 18,000, doubled the number of 5-unit matematika. We saved Israel's future. So everything can be done. Now let's talk about the future. You know, as a second-time potential Prime Minister, I did something that I think no other politician did ever before in Israel. Over the past 2 years, I brought Israel's top experts and I prepared a national plan to fix Israel, something like the Marshall Plan after this huge destruction of the past 4 years. Not slogans, tachlis, detailed plans, tackling the biggest problems we're facing. We brought experts in economy, experts in security, experts in education, experts in religion and state. We have here Moshe Kinley, a friend of almost 45 years, who's an amazing Chaver Knesset in that area. We have crazy housing costs. Our international position, which is, I just saw that the Vice President of America said that the only person in the world that likes Israel right now is President Trump. We need to fix it. So we prepared plans, so this time, on the first day of the government, we don't waste time. We hit the ground running. No vadot, committees, all of that. We don't need that. We did the committees now. So tachlis, what are we going to do? Minutes after the inauguration, we're going to have a first government meeting that same day. And the first decision is we're going to establish a vadat chakira mamlachtit for the catastrophe. No nonsense, do it. After such a colossal failure of the state of Israel on our most fundamental job, we have one job: protect Jews. We said we'd protect Jews, and the state failed, the government failed, the security organizations failed. So Am Yisrael deserves answers to ensure this will never happen again. About 5 minutes after we vote for the Vadat Chakira, we're going to make a second decision. We're going to set an 8-year term limit for prime ministers in Israel. Some people tell us only if we have a certain prime minister, there's not going to be an Iranian weapon. First of all, unfortunately, it's not looking great there. But I want to say something broader. Am Yisrael is stronger than any one leader. Am Yisrael is bigger. We don't depend on one person. You know, which you hear me? So which American leader taught the American people that they are greater than one leader?
George Washington.
George Washington, that's right. He won the War of Independence, became president for one term, second term, and then everyone begged him, there wasn't a term limit back then, begged him to continue, and he said no, no. The American people do not need a king, they need a democracy, and he went home, and the American people thrived. Which Jewish leader in the Tanakh did it? Something similar, was asked to be a king and said no? No, not Shimshon. Gideon. Good. You guys are good. He won the big battle, and then they said, we want you to become king. And he said, no kings here. And which Roman great leader or great general? This is hard. Good man, Cincinnatus. You're the first people who knew this. Kol hakavod. He won a great battle, and they said, we want you to become emperor. He said, I'm going home. And what did he do? He was a farmer. B'diuk. So I suggest other people go become farmers. The third thing, we're going to cancel all the laws that enable draft evasion. And we're going to cut benefits to anyone who's a mishtamet, who evades draft, and direct all that money, and it's billions of shekels, to people who do serve. And what we'll start seeing is our Haredi brothers are going to join us in Tzahal. Because if you stop paying people to not work, not serve, they'll begin working and serving. I mean, for example, let's say you Elkanah. Let's say you stay home, you decide you don't want to work. You can. I can't force Elkanah to work, but I'm not going to pay you. So right now, if you're Haredi and you don't work, you do get paid, which is crazy. It's just crazy. And if you send your kids to schools that don't teach math, don't teach English, don't teach democracy and tzionut, you get 100% funding. I cannot force anyone to send their kids to a Zionist school, a Haredi Zionist school, but I can say, you want to teach your kids to not go to Tzahal, to not learn math, not learn English, I can't force you. I'm not going to pay 1 shekel for that school. And people think it was always this way. It wasn't. Until 1977, Haredim served, Haredim worked. This is new. This is a crazy startup. And by the way, in the history of the Jewish people, unprecedented. All our Giborim worked, and all of them fought. I mean, if they had to fight, they didn't just fight. But Abraham was a businessman and he fought. Yoshua fought. Gidon fought. Yiftach fought. Shimshon fought. Shaul fought. David fought. They all fought. All our rabbis worked. Rabbi Yochanan was a sandlar. Rashi had a winery. Rambam was a doctor. This new concept never existed in Jewish history. And never, I know Tanakh, help me here. Was there ever a battle where let's say, I don't know, the Plishtim, they're coming, and the commander says, okay, wait, let's go learn Torah. No, it doesn't exist. It's not part of Yadut. Learning Torah is, but not instead of living in the real world and manifesting our values, our Jewish values in the real world. Torat Chaim. That's what the Torah is about. Next, We're going to establish a constitution for the state of Israel in the spirit of Megillat HaAtzmaut. Fifth, we're going to make rebuilding of the north, Kiryat Shmona, and all of the north an immediate priority. I don't know if you've been to Kiryat Shmona lately. I've been about 25 times over the past year and a half. About 40% of the people are there. 60% left and did not return, and those who left and didn't return are, on average, stronger, younger, could get jobs in other places. Sixth, we're going to lead bold economic reforms with one major focus, which is the cost of living. This is really important. This isn't, we're not doomed to have high prices in Israel. In fact, the shekel got much stronger, so anyone exporting got clobbered. But the prices should have gone down, right? If the shekel gets stronger, the dollar gets weaker, let's say by 25%, prices should have gone down 25%. They didn't. That's because there's no competition. So the big Shupersalim and the big importers and the big distributors, their margins grew crazily. And I know their margins. They like hiding it. And I'm not against them making money. That's their business. Our business as government is to ensure the system forces competition and applying antitrust elements. I was a businessman. In my previous life, I was in high-tech. I founded a company, ran another high-tech company before making the grave mistake of entering politics. And I know the power of competition. So the prices are about 30-35% higher than OECD just because there's gazillion different little non-tariff barriers and tariff barriers that prevent real competition. But when you open it up, like we talked about yellow cheese, talked about baby strollers, the prices go down really quickly. So you just need to remove those barriers. Seventh, we're going to make Israel a world leader in AI. It's unbelievable. I cannot believe the fact that during this huge, the biggest revolution in our generation, we are left behind. We don't have a national model. We blew that. We have other elements. So AI is not a product. It's a national defense resource. And we can't be, like, imagine not being dependent on others on electricity. You know, just about 10 days ago, Anthropic, did you guys follow that? Anthropic is the probably leading AI LLM model. So they have Claude and all that. They came out with a very advanced version. And after 2 days, it was so potent, it was so powerful that the American government gave them an order to shut it down for any foreign country and any foreigner in America. So that technically you can't differentiate, they have to shut it down. So they reverted to the previous model because it was so strong. Now, soon, and already now, some chips of NVIDIA, some models are not accessible to some countries, so we're left behind. So we're going to make Israel, I can't say number 1 or number 2, but I can say the number 3 country in the world in AI. That's doable. 8th, we're going to lead the greatest education transformation since the founding of the State of Israel. The Chinuch today is mediocre at best, and we deserve much better. First of all, we have tribal education, so you have education for Haredi, education for Arabs, education. Do you know that Shas, a political party, has a school network? It's called El Maya Mayan HaChinuch HaTorani. Do you know Yadut HaTorah, Goldknuf? They have a national network of schools. Imagine the Likud having the Likud schools, Labor having their schools, Meretz, Yesh Atid, Lieberman. It's crazy. So what we're going to do, we're going to build one national public education system for all of Yaldei Israel. And each child in Israel will have a common core of 60%. That'll be English, Hebrew, math, civics, democracy, Zionism, and Tanakh. The Arabs will be exempt from Tanakh, they can learn Quran. Zeu, we all will learn the same Israeli story. We all, if we're living here, we need one story. We can't have a state within a state, which we do. And every child in Israel will have an opportunity to succeed in the 21st century. And I don't care if they grow up in Dimona, Yerushalayim, Bnei Brak, Kiryat Shmona. Let me tell you something. When I became education minister, I found out something crazy. In Kiryat Ono, about, I believe, roughly 16% of the kids did 5 Yechidot Matematika, which is the high level. You know what percentage in Ofakim? 0. Chatzor HaGlilit? 0. Shlomi? 0. Not one boy or girl in those cities did 5 units math. Now, I don't buy it that people are smarter or born smarter in Kiryat Ono. What we see here was a lousy system that allowed that to happen. It won't. Every boy and girl will have the access to very good education. And we talked about the 60%, but every community will have the educational freedom of the remaining 40%. So you can take 40% for Gemara, 40% for a music school, for cyber, for nature, whatever. So because I believe that what we're going to do is effectively dismantle Misrad HaChinuch as the people who run Israel's education. We'll let the local communities decide how to run their education much better, and they'll do a much better job than Pkidim in Jerusalem. All of these, I want to wrap up. This is just a taste of Ben-Gurion's size or scale reforms that we're going to have to get done in this next government. It's not enough to just manage Israel well. The previous government I led, there's consensus that it was a good government. We ran Israel well. Israel functioned. We had a unique angle where ministers work. It was weird. Ministers got up in the morning and did their job. I know, it's a novel concept, but we actually did that. That's not going to be good enough this time. We're going to have to fix Israel from the source, because if we don't do it, we'll wake up in just a few years and have a huge anti-Zionist community that was educated against Tzal, against Zionism, against democracy, and we'll just implode. Now, to rebuild Israel, we have built a dream team. At Beyachad, we're bringing the most professional and successful CEOs and managers in Israel. The best Chavei Knesset. And we have Kinley here, who's here tonight. He's an amazing Chavei Knesset. But all of the Chavei Knesset of Yesh Atid are, in my opinion, the best in the Knesset. It's people who've proven again and again they can get stuff done. Lapid, my friend, and myself decided we're going to take on this mission together, not because we agree on everything. We don't. We have our differences. But we agree on the most important thing, that working together, people with different political outlooks, but if we work together, we can turn Israel again into a mofet, into Or LaGoyim, light upon nations. And in the recent years, with all the noise, the wars, the division, Something in the Israeli story has been lost, but it's deep within us. From Avraham Avinu, through Einstein and Gil Shved, there's a deep drive in our people to see problems and fix them. That's what Jews do. We're always looking to fix the world. But to fix the world, we need to fix ourselves first. So 4 years from now, we're going to look back and say, back in 2026, we chose hope. Together we wrote the next chapter of Israel. And this, Chaverim, is up to every one of you. We need to speak up in our communities, WhatsApp groups, around Shabbat tables. We need to be the voice in the room that says, we can fix Israel. We can fix Israel. Yalla. Let's get to work. Am Yisrael Chai. Let's take questions. You, yeah. Speak up and I'll repeat the question.
First of all, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us.
I'm not going to have to repeat the question.
Okay. So many years ago, of course, when our people left Egypt and we were getting away from slavery, the Jewish people did what we did best. We moaned and groaned and we said it was better to be slaves because we were used to it, even though it was torture and so on. Since 7th of October, the Jewish people, Israeli people, are concerned about security. How can we convince other people that are afraid to trade on election day? Those people are scared of change because our ancestors were scared of change. How can we?
What's your name?
Jeremy.
Jeremy Tachlis asked, how do you persuade people on security, given that supposedly the current government is so good on security? But it's a good question because people sometimes don't trust facts. I was prime minister and I was defense minister. Let's measure me not on promises, not on words, on action. When I came in as prime minister, it was days after Shomer Chomot in 2021. The South was still on fire, those fire balloons. I came in and I said, zero tolerance to even one rocket, one fire balloon, and we hit Hamas and they stopped. And the South got their best year in history under our government. Next. No. Not next question, next fact. I'm giving you facts, use them. Netanyahu started this method of transferring $30 million in cash, physically in suitcases, to Hamas starting 2018. In aggregate, about $1 billion of cash went to the Hamas directly to build up what they later did on October 7th. I came in and I said, we're stopping this. And what we did, we transformed it to prepaid $100 cards that went to families that had to pick it up at the post office in Gaza, and we could control. By then, they had already received so much money, but I stopped it. Next, I had zero tolerance with Hezbollah. They didn't build a tent on my guard. Next, on Medini, look, my opinion is very clear. I don't give up Eretz Yisrael. I don't allow a Palestinian state in Eretz Yisrael, period. And here's what happened. Biden came in half a year before. He came in January of 21. He made a promise to open an American consulate for Palestinians in Yerushalayim. And he pressed, that was an election promise. And he pressed Netanyahu. Finally, Netanyahu said, okay, you can do it in East Jerusalem and Odis. And then I replaced Bibi. When I came to Biden, this is a story that in real time I didn't want to tell you. You'll understand in a moment, but now I can tell you. I came to Washington, D.C. He said, look, you guys committed and you have to open a consulate in East Jerusalem. And I said, I prepared for this because I knew he was going to ask, and I said, I very much respect you, President Biden. You're a great friend of Israel, but Yerushalayim is the capital only of one state, the Jewish state. I cannot. And I promise, and it faded away. But if you Google it, you'll see that, like in the spring of 2021, it was going to happen. And what I said, I'm not going to make this public and put you, embarrass you. And I didn't. It just faded away. But that is what you do. You stand strong for Israel's national security interests. So no one will teach me how to stand strong for Eretz Yisrael or for our security. The gentleman over there, yeah.
Mr. Bennett, I'm not going to ask you a question. I just want to share my pain. By the end of this summer, my son, who's on Har Harmon right now, will have served since October 7th 1 full year out of 3 years. He's a lawyer. He works. He has a family. How are you going to be able to solve this problem?
How old is he?
He's 29.
29, and he's married with kids?
He's married with 2 kids. And
Where
he's
does he
still
live?
serving. He lives in Yerushalayim.
Yerushalayim? Which, by the way, unit did he serve in?
He was a Golani.
Golani.
He was a Chayal Bodeh and a Chayal Mitztayez.
Kol hakavod. And last question, what's his first name?
Binyamin.
Binyamin. So Binyamin has done a year, okay? 365 days at least of miluim since October 7th. He's trying to build his life. We all know that the most formative years in your career for your whole life is late 20s, early 30s. That's when you build your career. And he's trying to. But every time, he tries to, they call him back. And if, I'm not going to give names, but someone very close to me, same story, by the way, also was Golani, also Hilmon, they're probably together, and was fired. You want to get angry at the employer, but the employer needs the employee to do things, and if he's not there, so they waited. I think you need to wait 60 days or 90 days, and fired him, and the guy cried. And he said, I'm trying, and he has 1 baby, got married, trying to build a family. This is crazy. They didn't sign up to Tzvat Keva. The deal was, I do miluim, I pay taxes, there's war, I'll fight, but let me build my life. Now, if it was unsolvable, I'd say beseder. But Tzahal needs 20,000 soldiers now. Right now, there are roughly 100,000 young, healthy Charedim boys that can serve, and after 4 months of training, they can do the Chilmon 5 months, beseder? Or they can go to the Jordan Valley, and then, we cascade into the Chilmon, you know what I mean, because it's fungible. But they won't. And they won't, because right now, if a Haredi makes a decision to join the army, it's the dumbest decision from an economic standpoint. He immediately loses thousands and thousands of shekels of benefits in Kitzvat Avrech, in Hanacha Be'arnona, in Mechir Lemishtaken, in Sibsud Me'onot. And that, by the decision of joining the army, he ruins his life. I don't blame the Charedim. They don't know otherwise. They were born into it. I blame the government. I blame the politicians. And this is fixable. So this is, if there's one thing that it's just a must and will happen, is we're going to stop this. Anyone who does not serve will not get 1 shekel from Medinat Yisrael. No hanacha ba'arnona, no kitzvah, nothing. They can live here. I'll tell you what they get. They can use roads and all that. They get bitachon as free riders, and they get health. Zeu. That's it. Not 1 shekel. We quantified it. That all in all, it's worth every year 47 billion shekels. Do you know that a Zionist family, on average, if you quantify what they get from the government versus what they pay in taxes, it's a minus 6,000 shekel a month. So you pay more, 6,000 shekel more than what you get. A Haredi family, it's the opposite. They get 4,000 shekel more than what they pay. This is wrong. It's wrong, and it will stop now. And it's going to be beautiful. We're going to see the biggest aliyah. 1 million Haredim are going to make aliyah in Eretz Israel to Medinat Israel. And they're going to join. And it's going to be beautiful. They're going to fight side by side. And we're not going to be against them. We don't hate them. They're our brothers and sisters. We love them. We're going to build yeshivot on the Bikat HaYarden border, on the Sinai border. Every 100 kilometers, a building. In that building, it's a yeshiva. You study 8 hours. You guard 8 hours. You sleep and eat 8 hours. And by doing that, every Sadir soldier is worth 12 Miluim soldiers. And Binyamin can go build his career in law. What a mistake to be a lawyer. Zena, just kidding. And he can build his family, and he can see his wife during the Chagim, and he can see his kids and be with his kids. It's going to happen. It is going to happen. The woman in green. That's you.
Hi.
Sounds like a movie title. The woman in green. Go ahead.
Thank you so much for coming to speak. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. My question is about your education reforms. I've been volunteering as an English teacher this year, and it's been a wonderful experience. My job is to teach English, but my secret job is to expose my Israeli students to the fact that Jews and diaspora care about them. But I've noticed a lot of gaps in the education, the biggest one being that they don't understand how I'm connected to them. They don't understand their own history, and it's incredibly concerning. I get asked at least twice a week if I'm Christian because I'm from America. They don't think that I can be Jewish and not be from this country. And my question is about the push to teach them history, because you said that we have this sense of our own history that's grounded within us, and I think we're assuming that's true for our youth, but it's definitely not true. They take a lot for granted, and they don't have this sense that they are connected to their own history or to people in diaspora.
What's her name?
Naima.
What?
Naima.
Naima? Sorry, I think you're Christian. That's such an American Jewish name, Naima, like Yakira, Meira, Naima. Where are you from?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. I'm kidding. So you are 100% right, but before I continue, are you making aliyah? No pressure.
Yes.
God bless. Definitely, you do not want your kids growing up in LA. Eretz Israel, great decision. Do you have a chatan already?
No.
All right, let's take care of that. You're absolutely right. That is part of the fix that we need in the education system. The question is that she's volunteering as a English teacher in, I assume, a mamlachti school, not a religious school.
American English.
What?
American English.
American English. Yeah. Let's not get into that. So, and she says the kids aren't connected enough to their own shorashim. We have that problem in Eretz Israel because there's no hitbolelut in Eretz Israel. So everyone, in the mamlachti schools, there's a big deficiency, and because of really stupid religious or Haredi MKs that want to coerce religion, then non-religious secular Israelis, they're repelled. And I get it. I understand that. Do you know that in Israel, there's no law that you can't drive on Yom Kippur. You can drive on Yom Kippur by law. There's no special law. And isn't Yom Kippur like the most beautiful thing in the world, Yom Kippur in Israel? Nothing more beautiful than going out on the main roads and seeing no cars and all that. Now let's say, I don't know, Goldknopf or Smotrich, there's a wave of stupid religious coercion legislation. Let's say they go ahead and have Chok Yom Kippur. What's going to happen the year after? And you know what? I get it. Judaism is all about freedom, right? You talked about it's about chilul. So here's the thing. What we do, I'm extremely connected to Judaism, to Torah, to our heritage, and I am vehemently against any laws of coercion. You have zero coercion, and then you can restore what we had at the beginning of the state of Israel. Tanakh, our shorashim. You know, the founding father, Ben Gurion, he founded Chidon HaTanakh. The Tanakh was a central element to Zionism. Without the Tanakh, we don't have any connection to Eretz Israel, but not through coercion. So it's a double whammy. You stop coercion, you increase Jewish values and Masoret, but not through coercion. That's how you get it done. Ken, you over there. That's it. Yep.
I wanted to ask about the current America-Iran deal and what Israel could have done to prevent it or influence.
What's your name?
Boaz.
Huh?
Boaz.
Boaz. We like the name Boaz. Isn't Megillat Ruth like the most beautiful story? It's so, it's so Eretz Israel, right? And it's just all, like you can imagine, you can almost smell the chita. I love Megillat Ruth. It's like, it's beautiful. I think one of the most beautiful psukim in the Tanakh. Which one? Ba'asher telchi elech, ba'asher talini alin, amech ami, Elohayech Elohai. Like, just a pasuk like that proves that it's from Hashem. So beautiful. Anyway, that was not your question at all. The question was about the deal. So here's the deal with the deal. And I want to be fair about this.
What deal?
The Iranian deal. The Iranian deal. Look. This, I believe a few hours ago, the MOU was signed. What the MOU does, and the easiest thing for me now is just to attack and attack and attack, but we don't know enough details. It really depends on the next 60 days. Or when you negotiate, you want leverage, right? Leverage gives you more power of negotiation. So America and Iran lifted up a mutual element of leverage, which is the Straits of Hormuz. And it was really hurting Iran, but it was also really hurting America. So they lifted it. The big question is, what leverage is left? And there's huge leverage. I don't want to bore you guys, but there are something called secondary sanctions on Iran. They've applied since President Trump applied them in his previous term. What it effectively means is that they can't use global banking. Basically, they can't get money into Iran. They can sell stuff, but they can't get the dollars in because the whole system is closed for them. That is huge leverage, and it's still painful. And that leverage is a lot. What we need to ensure is that those secondary sanctions are not removed before we get de facto actions on nuclear, ballistic, etc., etc. So we now, look, what is. Mashayaya. Someone, I can't remember who said what it is, it is. So what we need to see and help President Trump is ensure that on the next phase, we don't relieve any sanctions before the dismantling of the nuclear program, taking the uranium out, ensuring verifiable limitations on the ballistic program and on the terror. One way or another, Israel, my big lesson, we have to ensure we have the independence in the arms and ammunition elements so we can defend ourselves by ourselves. Yes, the woman in white, yeah.
Me. I have two questions actually.
One, choose. Sophie's choice.
Okay, I'll stick with this one because it hasn't come up. My question is related to the economy. So you say that you say that you want to lower prices through fair competition, but what I understand about Israel's core ethos historically is producing everything locally, being as self-sustaining as possible. I don't know who's been to a supermarket recently, but most of the products you end up seeing are Israeli. So how do you actually foresee dramatically lowering prices without taking away from that really self-serving model?
What's your name?
Rivka.
Rivka. Okay. Rivka's asking about how you effectively lower price, cost of living and prices while not contradicting Israel's previous ethos of creating our food over here in Israel. So first of all, my full answer is we don't have to create all our food here in Israel. We do not have to create all the pasta, all the ketchup, all the tuna, all the toothpaste. No, there's a world out there, and it's good. We need it. So the first thing is to massively open up competition, especially from abroad, by removing those hidden barriers. It's really boring, but really important. So I'm not going to bore you, despite its importance. What I'm telling you is that there are thousands of tiny little, let me give you one example, little things that someone put in to prevent import. Let me tell you one story. I was Minister of Economy, and I saw that soy milk in Israel was really expensive, like crazy expensive. I said, well, what's going on? Why is it so expensive? And why isn't there, this was back in 2013, why isn't there a massive import of soy milk? So then they said, you can't, so I called the guy in Misrad HaKalkala that's responsible for determining what you can import and what not. His name was Grisha Deutsch. So I say, Grisha, what's going on here? And he said, let me look into it. He came back after a while. He said, oh, we have a special standard in Israel where you're not allowed to call soy milk. You can call it soy drink. And I said, so what? And he said, yeah. And Alpro, at that time at least, called all the soy milk. So we can't import Alpro. And I said, what the is going on? Expletive. And he said, yeah, because, the consumer might think it's milk. I said, what? Like what? There's soy cows? And they said, I don't buy this. Who's the guy? Like, who actually made this stupid decision? And he said, there's a committee. Sounds good. A committee. I said, fine. Who runs the committee? Who's the chairman? I want his name. So he looked into it, he came back and he said this name. He said, where's this guy? It's all volunteers. They just care about us. So I said, what company does he work in? Tnuva! Lo and behold, the guy worked in Tnuva, and Tnuva creates soy drink, and by putting in that little element, they blocked all the import of soy milk, and that's why it was expensive. Now, that was one example among 20,000 stupidities of committees and clerks and bureaucracy and regulation. So our job is to fix all of that. That is one example by opening it up, and we did. But it clogs again. It's like arteries. You get cholesterol if you don't. So on an ongoing basis, all these interest groups are always putting in these little hidden things. Like in a million years, you wouldn't know that story. But that is reality in everything. And by doing that, their margins go up. Nuva makes a lot of money. Nuva is owned by a Chinese conglomerate that all they care about is money. And screw it. We're going to fix it. We're going to, all those 20,000 things, we're going to take them away, and there's going to be, and you're going to see the prices go down. How do I know? Because it happened. I did it with yellow cheese. I did it with baby stuff, with toothpaste, but it got clogged again, because when you have a government who doesn't care about it, or even worse, where interest groups hold the government, it gets clogged. So we're going to unclog, prices are going to go down, and it's going to be just like amazing here. Yeah, one last question. You're pretty assertive, I would say. Yeah, that's you.
Wow. First of all, thank you. You made a very strong case for needing. You made a very strong case for needing to move voters over from the current situation to a change. Why does it matter if it's one party or two? There are probably some soft right voters that would prefer you and would get turned off with other people. There are probably some Moroccans that prefer Eisenkot and would get turned off if you were part of it. Why can't you both just focus on maximizing what you do and not get caught up in cannibalizing each other?
So, what's your name?
Miriam.
Miriam. Look, under no circumstances will I attack anyone within the bloc, certainly not Eisenkot. He's a great guy. He was a Ramatkal. He loves Israel. He lost his son in the war. And we have to focus on winning and building a good Zionist government for Medinat Israel. So I'm not gonna talk about structure. I'll say winning is not enough. If we win but don't have the ability to implement the huge reforms, we're not really fixing Israel. It'll be quiet, it'll be pleasant, not like it is now with crazy people running the country, but we have to fix it. And I'm here making my case to you guys that we need to go big, bold, energetic, and fix Israel, because we don't have time. Time is running out. It was a fun evening, but this is by far the most critical elections in Israel's history. We have to win. We have to win. And here, I have to wrap up, but I want to say, look, you guys made one amazing decision of making Aliyat Eretz Yisrael, the best decision ever. We are now, this is Miluim. This is Miluim. So I'm asking all of you to go out, persuade people in WhatsApp groups, in the field, on Facebook, on Instagram. Fight for Israel. Fight. Say, these guys united. Bennett's a nice guy. We had a great evening with him. And we're going out and persuading everyone to vote, 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 so we win big and fix Eretz Yisrael and Medinat Yisrael. Toda rabah.